All right. What's good? Welcome. If we haven't met yet, my name is Ted, and I talk bass. This channel is all about tips, tricks, and tutorials. Mostly tutorials for what I like to call the blue-collar bass player. Today, though, we're going to talk about reading for bass players. Or anybody, but specifically for bass players. Before I do that, I want to acknowledge some folks that Cedric Brown, what's good? Welcome. I want to shout out to Stephen Bird, excellent, Floyd Reese, Jay Santana, Robert Johnson, cats that are consistently here on the channel, and some of these cats, Fleece, my man Fleece, folks that constantly support this channel and this content. All of the content that I do here on YouTube is free. I do have to keep the lights on. So if you are watching and you want to support this channel, there's a few ways that you can do that. By all means, please subscribe to the channel if you dig the content. You can become a member. There's a join link on the bottom of this video. It's $9.99 a month. You can cancel at any time. But every little bit helps. You know what I'm saying? I've found since I moved back to New Orleans that utilities, gas is cheap, but utilities, all right? What else did I want to say? You could buy a product. There's products down there. The TED Talk Bass shirts should be out in a couple of days. Anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. Really wanted to thank those fellas for showing up. Please share this content if you dig it. And so let's get on and get started. Check it. I'm going to talk just a little bit more. Hang on. It's important for me to tell you my story as far as reading is concerned. I didn't start becoming a literate musician, if you will, until I was about 35 years old. Up until that point, I read, the last time I'd read music was like in the 6th grade. You know what I'm saying? In the band, I was playing trumpet. And so fast forward, wanted to get serious and legitimize myself a little bit more. And so I wound up reading very, very, very late. But the ability to be able to read opened up a lot of doors. At one time, I was the only African-American man. Really, there weren't a lot of African-Americans, period, in the theater scene in the Bay Area. And for about 5 or 6 years, I was the only African-American man playing in pit orchestras and things like that. Just being able, and it opened doors in a lot of ways. Not just business opportunities, but also the ability to crack open a book and understand it. There's just a lot more access that I got through reading. I'll spare you the long, humiliating story of joining a community college and always, getting the sweats or whatever when I had to read music. But anyway, it's something that I'm glad that I did. It has not in any way taken away from my creativity or anything like that. It's only expanded my knowledge, expanded my understanding of music. And so let's get into it. Today we're going to talk about mostly we're going to talk about rhythm. I think why rhythm. Rhythm is one of these two main elements when we think about reading music, right? You can fix wrong notes, but if you can't get the rhythm right, then you're in trouble because the music is moving in time. The music is going to keep moving. So that's the first thing we're going to talk about. I'm going to show you some what was my time frame from newbie to literate. Orange juice. That's a good question. And I'll answer it really, really fast. I've been playing for a lot of years, right? But I'll tell you, I joined Chabot Community College in Hayward, California. Like I said, I was about 34, 35 years old. And, you had to read. You had to read music, period, right? Because you had to play in ensembles and things like that. So I'd say it took me about a year of just consistently, going one beat at a time, one measure at a time, and also being in situations where I had to read. Okay, and that was the kind of the beauty of being in that situation. I'm not saying that anybody needs to go back to school. I'm saying that if you are in a situation where you have to do something, you'll do it, right? But if you don't have to do it, then it takes a little bit more discipline to get that thing together. So anyway, I'm going to show you a couple of free resources that I like on the web and I think that are really dope. And I'm going to also turn you on to a couple of books that I think you should have in your library. If you want to purchase those books, I ask that you get them from the affiliate links down below. So let's get into this first thing. And I'm new with the Streamlabs software. So if things get a little goofy, we'll roll with it. We'll fail forward. That's my motto, is fail forward. So right now you should be able to see my screen with practicesitereading.com. And this is a free website, practicereading.com. The things I really like about this is, number one, it's free. And it's pretty doggone easy to use. Okay, we'll talk about the user interface and all that stuff a little bit later. But what I want you to do right now is feast your eyes on these two measures. Boom. See what I'm saying? So it just reset, right? So because I accidentally went to another page. And let me close this. That's my boy Corey from No Trouble hitting me up. I'm going to have to hit him back. If you hit this little icon here, the little reload icon, it will obviously reload the page. So I can't see the chat right now. If you ask questions or whatever, I'll try to get to them as soon as possible. So let's just look at these two measures. This is what percussionists see. Okay. From left to right, we read music from left to right, top to bottom, the same way that we read words on a page. So we're going to check it out in that way. Okay, so we're not going to worry about this right now. This is where our clef would be and our key signatures would be, right? Over here. But what we want to be concerned about right now, is the 4/4. I know that some of you guys, this may be old news, but I'm going to review it anyway for somebody watching on the replay or somebody that's in here right now that's new. The 4/4 means there are 4 beats in a measure. The quarter note gets the beat. Now, that whole saying, the quarter note gets the beat. Also, if you support the channel, you help me get fizzy water. I like to stay hydrated, but for some reason, I don't like to drink water. And drinking tap water in New Orleans is a tricky proposition, my friend. So actually, I'm gonna do this and open this up on my phone, so maybe I can see the chat from my phone. So the saying, the quarter note gets the beat, is something that used to confuse me. Why? Because the first time I heard it, I was like in the 6th grade, and I was like, what the heck does that mean? In short, it means we need the equivalent of 4 quarter notes. So right here we have a whole note. If we look from this side, from the left to this line right here, which is called a bar line or a measure line, right? Depending on where you are in the world, bars, measures, we're talking about the same exact thing. This container is where these 4 beats are going to be kept. You dig? So this whole note is held out for 4 beats. Now understand, I don't have a bass in my hand. This is rhythm, right? we only see the one line because we're not talking about how high or low pitches are. We're just talking about where they move in time. You dig? So that whole note gets 4 beats. Pretty easy at this level. The bar line, if the bar line wasn't there, then we'd have one long bar, and how many beats would we have? We would have 8 beats, which would go against this 4/4 time. You dig? So we have what equals to 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. In this measure, we have the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, yes, this is super, super, super elementary, but that's good because sometimes we want to skip over the basic stuff and go right into the complicated stuff, right? And you know, nobody reads, you know, nobody starts off, well, somebody might start off reading A Tale of Two Cities before they read Dr. Seuss. So we're kind of at Dr. Seuss right now, okay? So I'm going to hit this reload button. Before I do that, also on the interface, I'm just going to kind of jump around and talk about these things as I see them. You can listen to the rhythm if you click here. But I don't suggest doing that right off the bat. I suggest internalizing it first and then listening and then trying to play along with it or whatever. Okay? This is something that you can do daily. Somebody asked, I think Orange Juice asked a little while ago, how long from newbie to, I can't remember what he said, mastery or whatever. But it was also consistency. It was like reading something every single day. And it wasn't going to the most complicated thing. It was like reading, doing stuff really gradually. So let's reload this and see what we come up with. It gave me two whole notes again. All right. Now we got, so I have it set on level 1. So every time it loads, it's going to load the basic rhythm, right? So with or without a metronome, let's say you don't have a metronome, right? You still want to count yourself in. So let's look at how this measure is broken up. We've got a quarter note here, which equals 1 beat. Quarter rest, which equals 1 beat. Quarter rest equals 1 beat. Quarter rest equals 1 beat. Now, I'm only looking at this measure right now. Only this measure. So, do I have what is required of 4/4 time? The answer is yes. It's just like if you have $1 and you could have a whole dollar. You could have a 50-cent piece and 2 quarters. You could have 2 dimes, a nickel, and 3 quarters. Right? It's still going to be equal to $1. Okay? So that's sort of how it started making sense for me way back in the day. But for every event, every note we play, there's also equivalent value of silence, right? And that's what the rests are. So if I count myself in, and you can count in, when I count in, you can clap along with me. And we're only going to do just the first measure. We're just going to clap the first measure. All right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Rest, rest, rest. So I said rests out loud, but you also want to be comfortable with just feeling those and not acknowledging them with your voice at all, because you want to get accustomed to them, you know, being silent. But now, if I clap my hands like this, I get one sound. So how in the world am I going to clap and hold out a whole note? Let me show you. I'm glad you asked. And if I'm gonna try to open up the chat here, see if I could see the chat on my phone. Um, so let's see. Mazda Special. Right now we're just talking about rhythm, but all of this stuff applies um, uh, everywhere. What's up, Ron? Juan Hayes, excuse me. So for the whole note right here, I'm gonna clap that like this. Watch this. Let me go back to this screen here so you can actually see me better. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's like a clap, shake, shake, shake. Okay. I also do this with primary school kids because it's fun for them and it works. So you get to imagine that you're holding that note out for 4 beats. You dig? So 1, 2, ready, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we've got 2 measures here. We've got 2 measures. So if you are with me, I would like for you to clap both of these measures. I'm gonna count us in. I want you to clap these 2 measures, and then I'm going to give a minute or 2 for some questions in the chat just to make sure that we're all on the same page. Okay? So here we go. 1, 2, ready, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't have a repeat sign or anything there, so we only do it the one time. So I'm gonna look in the chat. I'm gonna look in the chat on my phone because I haven't got it set up just yet to show my chat on Streamlabs just yet. But let me know in the chat how you're feeling so far. Any questions? Do you have any questions? Have you had any questions about reading up until this point? What's up, Rodney Jones? What's up, Rodney Jones? I'm going to give that 1 minute. And then if you guys don't have any questions or anything, we're going to press on. We are going to press forward. We're going to press forward. I got to get this chat set up so I can see the chats so I can see the chats from now. Okay, so now I'm looking at now I'm looking at Facebook too. I got to get this thing set up right so I can see all the stuff. So anyway, if there are no questions, we're gonna move on. So let's make this a little bit more interesting. Again, this website, this free website is called practicesight-reading.com. What I really recommend you do is don't try to go bananas on this thing. Keep it simple. Start level 1, time signature 4/4. That's also known as common time. Why is it known as common time? Because most of the music that we hear it is in 4/4 time. A lot of music we hear, I don't want to say most of the music, a lot of music we hear is in 4/4 time. Look, 4/4 compound meter, triple meter. See, when we start talking about like terminologies like that, people get confused. So I'm going to stay away from we have to deal with. So right over here in this side where is a little bit obscured, let me raise it up. Keep the time signature at 4/4. Let's give ourselves 4 measures. We're still at level 1, right? You can do this a little bit a day. Create. Let's see what happens. Now we've got 4 measures. Now this is good. Check it out. we're still dealing with the absolute basic foundational rhythmic elements. Whole notes, quarter notes. Yeah? So, when we read music from left to right, top to bottom. The same way that we read words on the page. So, when I was getting my reading together and I mean, I was doing it, man. I was doing it like in my house early in the morning, sometimes, before anybody woke up, just pushing through it. So I would look, okay, it's 4/4 time. I know what 4/4 feels like. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Or 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? That's tempo. It's a different thing. The time. 4 beats in a measure, quarter note gets the beat. What does that mean? It means that we've got 4 beats in a measure, and whatever is in that measure needs to add up to 4 quarter notes. So if you ever hear quarter note gets the beat, it means it means whatever you put in that measure better add up to 4 quarter notes. All right? So we've got a quarter note here, 3 quarter rests. We've got the equivalent of 4 quarter notes, right? Or 4 beats. Same in this measure. That's another thing. Patterns. We'll always see patterns, right? So we know if this measure here and this measure here look exactly the same. Oh crap, this measure here looks exactly like this measure here. In Western music, we're going to see things a lot in groupings of 2 and 4 like this, or groups of 2. So let's count it out together. I'm gonna clap. I'm gonna count in, and I want you to clap with me. Remember, we're reading from left to right, top to bottom. And after we do that, in the comments, either on Facebook, Twitch, or YouTube, I want you to let me know how you did. Okay? Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, rest. 1, tap your foot. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now there's a way of teaching rhythm. I can't remember what it's called, and I didn't learn that way, so I don't really teach it. But for instance, for a whole note, you would like do these pulses. So you would go 1. I am not totally comfortable doing that. I haven't taught like that. It's something that I need to learn, so I'm going to stay away from it. So let me know in the chat how you did just now. That was pretty doggone easy. So, okay, Fleece says he's following perfectly. Good deal. There's a lot of people on YouTube. Welcome, welcome, welcome to you folks on YouTube. Look, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, go on and subscribe to the channel. If you want to leave a tip, help a brother buy some more of this bubbly, sparkling water, you can leave a tip at Venmo or CashApp at SONOFABASS, SONOFABASS, to keep this free content free. All right, let's do one more. Let's rock and roll with this thing. I see a lot of people on Facebook as well. Zachary Marshall, what's up, dude? Haven't seen you in forever. That's one of my old college homies. Okay, let's look at what is going on here. That's what's going on here. I get excited about this stuff, man. I especially get excited if there are people finding value in this type of thing. So let's dig into this newness here. Orange juice. Robert Johnson. Okay. Once again. Now, I'm going to give you guys 10 seconds. Somebody tell me what the note value is. What's the rhythmic value of this note that I'm circling with my pointer? Somebody let me know in the chat in the chat. Let me know if you are hip to what that rhythmic value is. Go. Orange Juice, you are partially correct. I want to know what the name of that note is. If you don't know, that is totally cool. But you are correct in terms of how many beats it gets. All right. So I know that there's a little bit of delay. That is called a half note. Half note. I think Fleece was first. Every time somebody gets a right answer, I'm gonna take a sip, and it's not alcohol, baby. So Fleece, that one was for you. Okay, that's a half note. Half note gets 2 beats. When I was going through it, the way that I thought about that was, hey, that's just like a $50. Are those still in circulation? Do people still call them $50? 50-cent piece. So anyway, half note gets 2 beats. We got half note, 2 beats. Quarter note, 1 beat. Quarter note, 1 beat. Right? Now, in this particular exercise, we don't see the same patterns. Okay, every measure is different. Every measure is different. So what I would do is I would really just break things down like a measure at a time, and then I knew about these 2-bar patterns. So then what I would do is I'd make sure I had one measure together. Then I would start at the first beat of the following measure. You dig? Then I would play the first measure and then the first beat of the next measure. I'm going to give you an example. So I'm just going to pick an arbitrary note because like I said before, this is not this is not pitch. So I'll pick the note C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay? Then I would add the next beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Right? And I would follow that until I had a 2-bar pattern. And what starts to happen is then you start seeing you start recognizing stuff as patterns. This rhythm, half note and 2 quarter notes, is so incredibly common that you don't even need to think about that. But again, even for you experts, even for you guys that have been playing a long time or whatever, don't discount this. It's okay to go back to basics, you dig? So we know what a quarter note sounds like. We know what a quarter rest feels like. We know what a quarter rest feels like. I want somebody in the chat in measure number 3. Measure number 3. I take a sip for the first person who tells me what are the note values of the rests in measure number 3. You guys go on and support each other now. We're all in this together. Half rest, orange juice. Orange juice. Half rest. This sip is for you, my friend. Every time somebody gets a right note, I take a sip of water. I don't know what that does for you, but it keeps me hydrated. All right? So, anyways, those are 2 half rests. The way that I was taught back in the dizzy, I don't even know why I said that. The way I was taught back in the day was that the half rest rather, looks like a hat. We know that it's got to be half because we got two of them, right? The whole rest would be facing downward. But we could replace those two half rests with one whole rest. We won't, obviously. Let's everybody in the whole building, I'm going to count you in. Hello from Russia. Hello from New Orleans. We are going to all clap these 4 measures together. Are you ready? I'm not there to check your work. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, and... Oh, wait a minute. I should tell you. So the half note, remember how we clap the whole note like this? 1, 2, 3, 4. Check it out. We're going to clap the half rest like this. 1, 2. Okay? Helps us feel that beat. Okay? Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me know how you did. Let me know how you did in the chat. Let me know how you did. I know there's like a 20-second delay here, but let me know how you guys did with that. If that was easy, if it was hard, any challenges, let me know in the chat. I take no sips if it was hard or not for you. I only take sips when there's a right answer. Okay. Orange juice worked well. Achilles Matters, welcome. Achilles Matters is also someone who's always on the live streams. It's always good to see you. Thank you for your support, being a part of this whole TED Talks bass thing. We're talking about bass 101, baby, music 101. This is basic stuff, right? So, okay, write this down. That's practicereading.com. We're at 3:32. I want to move on so that I can talk about some of these other resources that I think are really cool and worth having. Okay. When you have time, you could take a look at. You could just search rhythm tree. It sort of looks like a factor tree. You know, I don't know what the new math is. I don't teach math, but. Justin, thank you. So basically the rhythm tree, just like a factor tree. When we have this basic foundation of the whole note, then we start dividing. We cut the whole note into 2 equal parts. We get 2 half notes. The cool thing about this diagram is they have the UK name, what they call it in the UK and what they call it in the US. We cut the half note into 2 equal parts. We get 2 quarter notes. Cut the quarter note into 2 equal parts. We get 2 eighth notes, and so on. We cut the eighth note into 2 equal parts. We get 2 16th notes. But that's a little supplemental thing you could take a look at on your own. Okay, so. Give me just a second. I want to talk to you about a book that I think should be in everybody's library. It's one of the, there's 2. The first one is Ed Friedland's bass method books. The reason I like these books so much is because let me bring it over here. Hopefully you guys could see that. I'm pretty proud of myself for setting up this getting this live stream thing together. I do want to give a shout out to Chris Royal for pointing me in the right direction of Restream. But anyway, so The reason I like Ed's books so much is because they are written in a way that is very, 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 very easy to understand, super accessible. So again, if you want to purchase any of these books, please use the Amazon affiliate links below. And when we were talking about the practice reading site, we were looking at just rhythm. Okay? Let's read together, shall we? Music consists of two basic elements, rhythm and pitch. Pitch is notated using a set of lines and spaces called a staff. Pretty easy so far. Ed doesn't get wrapped up into a whole lot of heady concepts and stuff. Real simple language, right? We have a staff. And for us bass players, the symbol that tells us what register we're playing in is called the bass clef, right? It's pretty easy, right? We see bass clef, that's us. And it's also, just fun fact, also known as F clef, 2 dots above and below the line that is F. Here's the part, when folks do the thing, the all cows eat grass and good boys do fine always. I did that in primary school or whatever. Primary school. Why do I keep saying primary school? They don't say that in the U.S. But since I did go to school in Europe and in America, I guess I can say that. So in elementary school, I learned it, right? But I did not find that these mnemonic devices helped me at all. What helped me is just remembering by doing that the first line is G, the second line is B, the third line is D, the fourth line is F, and the fifth line is A. As for the spaces, same thing. And I'm gonna show you in just a second how we make this applicable to the bass guitar, and why I think that this book is so dope, especially for people that are teaching themselves at home. Okay? Rhythm. So 2 elements. Remember, rhythm and pitch. Rhythm and pitch. Rhythm, how music moves in time. Pitch, how high or low things sound. Yeah? I'm doing a lot of talking here. If you have anything to add in the chat or any questions or whatever, please don't hesitate to throw those out. I will answer them as soon as I can. Okay? But those are the 2 elements that we want to think about, that we want to remember and know. Rhythm, how music moves in time. Pitch, how high or low things sound. So, rhythm. We have to divide, contain the rhythm some kind of way, right? So, I'm just going to read this out of Ed's book. Rhythm, the other basic element of music, is notated using measures, also known as bars, which contain a set number of beats, the pulse of the music, the heartbeat of the music. Each measure is separated from the next by a bar line, also known as a measure line. All right? Again, hey, I see people chiming in on Facebook. Thank you, guys. Thank you. If, this is like some free lesson stuff. If you guys want to help keep the lights on, feel free to leave a tip. I appreciate it. I welcome it. Venmo, CashApp, at SONOFABASS, SONOFABASS. I appreciate it. It helps keep the lights on, helps me stay in bubbly water as well. All right? So, We talked earlier when we were looking at practicereading.com, or was it practicesitereading.com? I can't remember. But y'all wrote it down now. We talked about the time signature. 4 beats a measure, quarter note gets the beat. Somebody remind me. Somebody tell me. Now this is where I go straight school teacher mode on you guys, and I say, somebody remind me in the chat. Tell me another way of saying that. Somebody tell me. 4 beats in a measure, quarter note gets the beat. What did I say earlier about quarter note gets the beat? What does that mean? In the chat, go. I know there's a 20-second delay between when I talk and when you hear me. So you're on. Somebody tell me in the chat. Quarter note gets the beat. What does it mean? What does it mean? Clark Sims, I see you on Facebook. I'm watching you, buddy. Tell me, what does it mean? Ryan Miller, what's up? Ryan Miller, you can't answer because you're so advanced. You already know. Nope. Fleece. Oh, kinda, Fleece. Kinda. You're almost there, man. You're almost there. Kinda, but not really. Come on, y'all. I want somebody to get the right answer so I can... Oh, Fleece. My fault. Fleece. You are correct. I take a sip of bubbly water for you. I misread your response. Get you right here. So, I'm on one today. Yes. 4 beats in a measure. Whatever is in that measure. Whatever's in that measure needs to add up to 4 quarter notes. That could be one whole note. That could be whatever combination of notes you have in there, right? It needs to add up to 4 quarter notes. Or 4 beats. 4 beats. That's, but a quarter note is worth a beat. So, yes. I just want to make sure that the terminology isn't confusing anybody. So, the basic note values, again, this is why I love this book by Ed Friedland. I should have tagged Ed in on Facebook so he could know that I'm selling his book for him. But definitely a book you want to have in your bag, in your library. All right? So the note values that we talked about today were quarter notes, half notes, whole notes. Those are the basics, right? Those are the basics. He also goes a little bit into right hand. I'm gonna save. I'm not gonna deal with that stuff right now. I'm not gonna deal with playing with a pick. I'm not gonna do that. But I am going to look at these open string exercises, right? I'm not sure when this book came out. I know that it is one of the books that I used when I started going back to school. And just to share with you guys, I wound up earning a bachelor's in music from Cal State at the tender young age of 41. And up until that point, starting from quarter notes, half notes, eighth notes, I went on to play a lot of complicated, sophisticated music. Got the opportunity to be called to do gigs and things like that required a person to read. Now, my goal had always been to be a professional musician, so that was something that I needed to do. Because all things being equal, you got 2 guys that can both play. They're both easy to hang out with, nice guys or whatever. But the job is requiring that the guy can read, then the guy who can read gets the job. But beyond that, just being able to understand and open up the world of music a little bit more, or a lot more actually, was where it was at for me. So another aspect of this, why I like this book, is we know that the open strings are E, A, D, and G, right? We know this. We also know, now, this E here, this little thing is called a ledger line. It's when we use ledger lines when we have to write below or above the staff. The staff has 5 lines, 4 spaces, right? This is, you see this? That's an E, right? There's no other thought that you have to put into that. That's an E. It's always going to be an E from now until the end of time. If there's a bass clef at the beginning of the hang on one second, Fleece, is there a trick to recognizing the key signature on site? Yes, there is. However, I want to save that for another time. There absolutely 100% is a trick to that, and the first trick is to remember it, but there's definitely a trick. I'll talk about it at a later time. So again, we know that I'm going to pull this camera down. So I'm looking at this first diagram. I'm going to call it a diagram and not a measure, simply because we don't have a bar line there. It's just a diagram. It's, just showing us, hey, here's the note E. It's written as a whole note, so we hold it out for 4 beats, right? So 1, always count yourself in. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then stop the note because you played it for 4 beats. But you got to count yourself in. You got to tap your foot because you want to be able to feel that pulse, right? It's not enough to just know it upstairs. You have to feel it inside, okay? We know that's the note E. The next note is A. Well, most of us bass players, we already know that this is an A string. The next string up in pitch is the A string. 1, 2, ready, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? Now I'm not going into technique or anything like that. I'm simply talking about reading. Right? What we want to do is you want to recognize that note is an E. The next note is an A. The note, the note on the and I'm talking about here, the note on the middle line of the bass clef staff is a D. We just want to know that on site. On site. The worst thing you could ever do, well, maybe not the worst thing you could ever do, but a bad thing to do is to write letters. If you have an actual piece of music, to write letters under or above a note on the staff is like a super, super bad thing, because you'll never get it. You feel me? You'll never get it. So the next note here, the note G, obviously. So if you have your bass in your hand, we're gonna look at exercise number 1 on the E string. Again, I'm not gonna run through the whole, Ed's book. This particular book that I'm talking about is all 3 of the electric bass methods by Ed Friedland in one package. So, hey Brandy, so be sure to get that. So we talked about rhythm. This has the counts written in it. All right. So if you have your bass, we're gonna read line number 1. All right, we're going to read line number 1, E string. we know we have here our bass clef. That tells us, hey, bass players, this is for you. In short, that's what it says. 4/4 time, 4 beats in a measure. Whatever you have in this measure, that measure, that measure, that measure, this entire piece, each measure needs to add up to 4 beats. Okay? Can't add up to 5 beats. Can't add up to 3.5 beats. It needs to add up to 4 beats. Okay? I'm going to only glance over this. I am. You got to buy the book. Index, middle, index, middle. Just saying what fingers to use. So now that we have our instruments, I have mine. Hopefully you have yours. So what book is that? This is Ed Friedland's Bass Method, Brandy. If you want to buy this book from Amazon, please use the affiliate link down below. Every little bit helps the channel. So here we go. Let's count it in. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Half notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. At the end here, we've got a double bar line. This double bar line is like the period at the end of a sentence. It means that's the end. We're done with that piece. Okay? Let's go on to the A string. We'll do all of these. If you have your bass with you, I hope that you do. We are going to play through all of these, and I'll talk a little bit less. Here we go with the A string. Remember, A string, second string, up in pitch. 1, 2, ready, half note. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I'm sorry. I looked down. I thought somebody was calling me. Let me try that one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, half note. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So basic note values, right? We know these. I'm looking at my phone so I can see the chat. I'm gonna set the chat up so I can see it on the computer. But right now, I have to do it kind of the old-fashioned way and look on my phone to see if the chat, see if anybody's saying anything in the chat. All right, let's move on to the D string. So this is exercise number 3. Open strings. We're only playing open strings here now. Okay? 1, 2, ready, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm moving through these a little quick, just for the interest of time. But it's, again, go back, read a measure at a time, right? A beat at a time. If you have to just like sit there and just dissect it, in small chunks, it's okay to do that. You will get better a lot faster if you do that. I promise you, I promise you, I promise you, right? And guarantee it, because that's what happened to me. Okay, here we go. G string. This will be the last one we do today. All right, number 4, G string. And I also suggest that you count out loud. Okay, the count's written at the bottom. The more you count, the more you can internalize what these rhythms sound like. All right, so here we go. I hope you have your bass and your face all over the place. Jokes. All right, here we go. 1, 2, ready, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pretty simple stuff, right? If you were able to, with your bass, just look at that and play it, that is sight reading, right? So let me look at you. Let me look at yous. Let me look at you. So the sort of I think a misconception about reading is that a lot of times you have to read this flurry of notes, right? It's not always like that. You only sight read the one time, right? Anything you do after that is practicing, right? Is so like shoot. I'm gonna pull up a website. Never mind. I was gonna give you an analogy, but I don't have a prop. If you read something for the very, very first time, that's your sight reading. It only happens the one time. Everything else after that is rehearsing it, right? And so by the time you've rehearsed it so much, right, then when you get to, like, say, a performance or something like that, then you just the page is down there and it's just you're just remembering it. I thought I had one of my recital pieces on my music stand. Apparently I do not. But the Echo Sonata is like a kind of popular bass piece that I played for my senior recital at Cal State, and I can remember being overwhelmed by it and thinking that I was never going to be able to do it. And but I practiced it so much, again, one beat at a time, one measure at a time, yada yada yada, that by the time I got to performance time, I was barely looking at it because I'd remembered it. You know what I mean? So I don't want to go too long here. So I think I'm gonna save the next book for the next time I talk about reading. Consistency is key. Consistency. Reading a little bit of something every single day is how you get better at it. So the first free resource that I suggest is practicesight.reading.com. It is free. Stay on level 1. Start with 2 measures. Then let me show it to you. For those who came in a little bit late, practicesight.reading.com. You can change the time signatures, but I suggest staying with 4/4 time for now, and sticking with like 2 measures, 4 measures to start, then move straight to 8 measures. Don't go 2 measures, 3 measures, 4 measures, because real music don't always sound, most of the time music doesn't sound like that. So 2 measures, 4 measures, 8 measures, 16, like that, right? And only listen if you're really struggling. When you start to struggle, stay on level 1 for like a week. And then, move it to level 2. Let's move it to level 2 and see what we get. Probably gonna add in some. No, I thought we were gonna add in some eighth notes. Oh, I kept it on level 1. My fault. Let's do this again. Create level 2. Level 2. We've got eighth notes. Got some ties happening here. Got a dotted quarter note. We'll talk about some of those some other time. Also, one last thing is, if you start trying to get too much terminology at once, it's gonna overwhelm you, and then you're not gonna do nothing, right? So don't basics, man. Level 1, whole notes, quarter rest, whole rest, half rates, half rest. You feel me? So it's 4 o'clock now. I've got a meeting to jump on. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Again, if you want to pick up Ed Friedland's book, I highly recommend it. It is in the description box below. Please use that Amazon affiliate link. If you'd like to support the channel by leaving a tip, you can do so. Venmo, CashApp, at SONOFABASS. Also, you can become a member of this channel for $9.99 a month. And so that's that. Anyway, guys, I really appreciate you hanging out with me today. I know times are incredibly confusing and hard and just all over the place, man. But my hope is that you are finding ways to find joy and peace and comfort, and that you're staying healthy, that your loved ones are healthy. And hopefully, man, we can all start being a lot better to each other real soon. So it would be nice to see. Anyway, as always, peace, y'all.